哦，是这个，是这个。
Hello? I'm Dooley. Oh, thank you. You can have my... maybe you... my friend had, but... he gave me a... please help. Oh, thank you.
这个我会来得及吗？我看一下。
I hope you find it.
Oh, maybe it is treasure. I can see it for myself. So pretty. And it's just lying out here. Maybe nobody wants it. Maybe no one will mind if I just take it. Don't you dare.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
怎么那么大声？我的声音。
Follow me quickly.
我比较像我在带路啊。这样子我应该会拿到那个东西，我在猜。这里，哦，我拿过嘞，其实我不用再拿一次。
Well, Yulia. Poor ver. All right, let me... What? I'll go.
然后在地洞里面，这个地洞我们也进过了，虽然没有什么东西，但是它很黑。
I love your clothes. So exotic.
我就应该把它弄掉的。他一直跟我讲那个，我会很害怕。哎，我那个时候是在这里看到的吗？掉了一只鱼。等一下，我先把声音调小声一点，我怕会被吓到。哎，我没有调大声。这里的面包是有人的，吓我一大跳。我们要做这种无意义的探险吗？我有点害怕。哦，出来了，出来了。好，恐怖的要来了，快陪我讲话。 是这样的讲话内容吗？应该没有听到声音吧？等一下，我先问一下，你们应该没听到声音吧？没有，你讲话，没有，那要不然，你说1、2、3吗？还是阿白？你也知道。你真的很喜欢他欸。很好笑。建议在这里保存游戏。好，你有在看画面吗？没有。好啦。好，请摆在我旁边，因为虽然我把伽马值调超亮，但是我还是很害怕。对对对，超亮的，对不对？我就真的很害怕吗？不然这样子，我就很怕哦。摇大这样子，很怕哦。我自带阳光啦。这边应该没问题吧？为什么突然变暗了？很多里拉奇。我刚才蹲着走路，我想说我怎么不能跑步了？真的。
Ah, a visitor. Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name?
我是 W.
It's a sincere pleasure to meet you. Tell me what.
大埔6。我为什么来？
Ah, yes, that cursed thing. I know exactly where it is. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I've been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical argument with somebody astute. I'm hoping that person is you. Let us find out with this simple question. Have you deduced the name of the god responsible for the Golden Rule? Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly
苏格拉底式对话是什么意思啊？
Good enough for me. Now, let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong? You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the Golden Rule, surely your struggle will only become more difficult.
苏格拉底式。
Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable. because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the Golden Rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree? So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing? How can that be? Since they all have differences, it follows that in some cases they would offer different conclusions about what is right and wrong. If there is a correct moral code, then wouldn't it follow that only one can be the correct one? You know, I think you'd find an ally in Herodotus, a scribe from among my people who lived some 400 years ago. He told the story of a man named Darius, whose curiosity was piqued when he learned that a certain tribe had the practice of eating their dead. He asked some Greeks who burnt their dead, "What would it take for you to eat your dead?" Aghast, they replied, "Nothing." Then he asked the tribe who ate their dead, "What would it take for you to burn your dead?" "Nothing," they replied, equally aghast. From this, Herodotus concluded that custom is king, that right and wrong are merely local ideas which do not survive the journey from one tribe to another. I take it you're in agreement? Then let me ask you this. If you visited a tribe where they ate each other, copulated with the dead and drank wine from cups made out of human skulls, would you still maintain that within such a tribe there is nothing wrong with such conduct?
你是否仍然认为，对于那个部落的人来说，这样做毫无问题？肯定是的啊。
Disturbing. And while I do not agree with you, at least you would have the support of Herodotus. Good. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong?
为什么他要重问了一次？哎。
I see. Then a word of advice. If you do not want to, you see out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the Golden Rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate...
哦，我是不是说错了？所以他要让我那个。
So let me ask you this. Let me guess. Is it? And that's a credit to you. It is the mark of a civilized person to change their position when presented with a superior argument. My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth.
他说的很对，就是道德高的人就不需要被规范，但是道德低的人就是想办法去钻那些漏洞。
We would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions. You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave? I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night, I found myself in a tavern in an argument with a drunk mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny. They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my generation was wiped out, turned to gold many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades... I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years. Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner. As you wish. Ha! If I did we not discuss it at length? You seek the plaque bearing the Egyptian... It is a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you if Kabash had not already taken it.
哦，转，没转吗？有点转。时好时坏的转呢。
I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the Shrine of Persephone became the Shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, They tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans. I'm getting to that. You see, it was among these old Greek relics that I found the thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription. We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail. There are certain things you must see.
他干嘛不跟我讲里面有什么啊
Take this key. You'll need it. I enjoyed our chat, but please keep my presence here a secret.
这边算了，转了就转吧。你看很转吗？现在在转。
Ah, you've returned. Ah, you've returned.
这网路就现在应该好了。好，我要面对，我要去最恐怖的地方了。没有，那个是网络的关系，不是电脑的关系。嗯，哪里？你说这里面吗？有，就是我跟你讲的那个啊，黄金僵尸啊。嗯。前面这里应该还没有。我连开这么亮的都这么暗呢、很暗啊，比刚刚暗了。不是、啊、你要想，我是开亮之后，它这个暗度更何况它，等一下哦。 这里感觉就不太妙。它这个黄金雕像还会转头，超可怕的。哦，前面那个是吗？这里啊。我觉得他等一下要开门。很多只喂！你们看很卡是不是？现在应该还好了吧？现在应该不会了吧？现在好多了，好，因为它这款的那个优化没有做很好，那显卡吃超重的。还好我听到声音，吓我一大跳。文档。文档。笨蛋！有人。
Stop! Do not come any closer. Who are you?
你是谁？你先说。我是 W。
I am Kabash. And let me
我的名字
guess,
叫 W
another
啊。
Greco-Roman
他好谨
from the
慎，
loot
很
and
可
plunder
怕哦
resting place of
他那个
my
冲超
ancestors.
快诶。
To what end? That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it, and
Oh,
restore
okay, well,
the honor of Osiris. Now, as for the other plaque. Indeed, I have it
哦，
right
超
here.
2块。
I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was. You may not. In
为什么？
fact, I am about to destroy it. Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie. I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is? Indeed, and I see you
你
know
看
our，
我就跟你们讲，选考古学家应该
This
有
is
好
the
处。
Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story. And here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron. As if that desecration was not enough, they built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew. It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name. But if that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us. And that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this, I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more.
这边要跟他撒谎吗？他绝对不会相信我，我觉得。他就说他不知道上面写什么了啊。
You must think me a fool. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed,
完了，
thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name. You are too late. It is done.
哦，
You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness. We shall see.
嗯。Oh no！ 先存档。你看那个头会转，真的是有够恶心的。一盘。超讨厌这种感觉，就
When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise. You will die here. I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege, but you persisted. You have undermined and dishonored the true God of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed? Very well, I will listen. But if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy? That may be true of many things, but this is different. If our gods were copied and corrupted from an older civilization, does that not mean they are false? Does that not mean our prayers to our gods all fell on deaf ears because we were not even addressing them by their true names?
这个就有点像那个 Karen 吧，就 Karen 不是他们也有说，他有很多名字。
Now that I think about it, my people would sometimes call Osiris the god of many names. Perhaps it is so. But the underworld of my people is so different to this one, and so unlike the way it was described by our priests. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death and be judged accordingly. We prepared to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent of sin before the 42 assessors of Ma'at. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. And now I ask myself, did our priests steal and embellish the stories of an older people and feed us lies all our lives simply to trick us into obedience? I am not sure I follow. Speak plainly. plainly.
我是个好人，你先想要杀我，你跟我讲你是个好人。
Perhaps there is some truth in that. What is your point?
叶子被误导，但你已经做了一辈子的好人了，难道因为这样放弃吗？
You are persuasive. Very well. I will let you live, and you may do what you will with that plaque. I will remain here for a while, and attempt to learn what I can about the foundations of my people's beliefs. Go.
腿炮大成功，原来他需要听的是甜言蜜语。哦，这也是来的地方。快跑！阿公，我回来了。
Ah, you've returned.
是，我要走了。这个地方吓死我了。好啊。不要回头了，维克！哎呦，哎呦呦呦呦呦呦 ！OK。哦，重见光明。哎。这样就跑完了吗？对，恐怖的地方是跑完了。
Don't believe a word they tell you.
Citizen.
I'd like to nominate myself, if that's all right.
Of course, Galerius. That's your right. Citizens. I hope you're coping.
赶快存档！我不想再回去那里了，我会被怕吓死了。哎，哦，这里。哦，存档。那我们刚才选过这个了吗？又错了，又错了。 这里是阿努比斯。命运石之门。啊！我靠！对嘛？所以我一直可以看着那个黄金箱转头，不是假的，他们真的会转头啊！我们终于见面了。哎、所以跟我讲话的人不是那个被绑在椅子上的哦。
And here you are.
是他？
Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You are unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will. That is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing. I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not? For you, perhaps.
对啊，因为我本来一开始以为黄金这个什么黄金法则哦，是那个行政官定的，因为他们一直都说什么，有的人明明就可能触犯，但却没有什么事情发生啊。
Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example? You speak of the moneylender. How is that inconsistent with the rule? And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years. All he did was enforce the terms of a contract signed voluntarily by others. Ignoring your irritating sense of moral superiority, this is interesting. I'm curious, how do people escape poverty?
在你的故乡，人们是如何摆脱贫穷的敛财？
I see. And how long might it take such a person to repay their debt? I fail to see how your system of loans is significantly different to a debt bondsman signing over his labor for 30 years. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked? The merchant. How is that inconsistent with the rule I've outlined? I disagree. Having watched this merchant, that is precisely what he would expect from others, and he would be quite capable of paying the price anyway. Applying this rule always requires speculation to some degree. It requires us to ask what another person would want if they found themselves in another situation.
如果我要应用法则，势必要有一定程度的推测。我们需要问自己，如果在某
Not if we're wise enough to know the mind of man. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Now tell me, what others... The midwife in the palace, yes.
他知道他什么都知道，他废话。
The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now. Bloodless shadows, mere shapes of their former selves. They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine. Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. A literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Now tell me, what other sin...
哦，他这已经
Do you honestly think you could do better? I should strike you down for that.
啊？为什么？
Now, did you have any other questions before your reckoning?
对啊。哦。
Very well. It has come to be known simply as the Underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago. To ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens.
哦，所以就是拿到那
a
个
rare element at the time across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Proserpina's along with it. As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths, to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives, and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten. That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting. There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina. It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and his words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning. And in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth. Of course, my story is many thousands of years long. My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords. Desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals.
我以为他会生气，问这种问题太白目了
Your
吧
ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey.
哇塞，这个可以选吗？
No.
哦，
Long ago I swore to Proserpina that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal
他看起来很没有灵魂呢。
Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life.
对呀、遗忘之城里面的人早就饱。不要提到我的而已，不能让他知
Your
道。
gaze lingers too long. That is my servant.
嗯，
You would have met by the river, though she wears many faces and goes by many names.
对呀、那个遗忘之城里面的人稍微讲一句，就是不要跟我讲话，不要让我再看到你。 我要报，我要叫守卫了。
And to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous.
他就是那个摆渡人嘛，凯利，
The ferryman.
凯尔
We will talk more
凯什么？
later. For now, ask your questions. As you wish. Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
可能年纪大了，所以健忘。
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
He cannot know.
普洛塞皮娜这个是谁呀？不要告诉他。
I do not know. My kin departed long ago,
哦，
and Proserpina has slumbered for 3,000
他的亲族
years.
哦，所以一直跟我们讲话是他的爱人。哦，难怪他的爱人看起来这么的，很像被囚禁的感觉。
Tread lightly,
哎，
mortal.
完了，
Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek?
我是来杀你的。那就算了，我要走了。我只想离开这里。
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me,
如果你
or
激
waste
怒
my
我，
time with lies or wrong-headed
哦天哪！
arguments, you face
希望你没有跟《遗忘之城》
So,
里面
tell me,
的人一样容易被
why
激
should I
怒
put
哎。
an end to the so-called golden rule?
他这个每次都会有一直拉弓的选项，真的很讨厌。如果你出于爱情才离开躲园，你应该知道，这个太直接了吧？如果你自己有罪，又请
How so? And be specific. You have
直
made
接
a
跟他
great
说他的爱人不爱他
and。I expect you to back it up. True. I have witnessed him doing that.
嗯，
I admit, I have grown disturbed watching her. His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day. He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. If you're right, my involvement has corrupted the very thing I sought to observe impartially. But if I were to accept that, are you telling me these humans could coexist peacefully, without theft or violence, without my law?
不是这选是的会不会？可是下面这个，如果我接受你的说法说这些人类没有的话，就能和平共处。 你们觉得要选哪个啊？是的吗？没有他的法律就能让盗窃或暴力消弭。你们觉得呢？一定不会啊，因为这样等于说一定会有人抢夺嘛。
How so? And how is that working for you?
拉开黄金宫，不要再拉开黄金宫了。
So you say, and yet your world is still imperfect. You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true, it follows that my wager was fatally flawed from the beginning. But that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win. Why would he do that?
也许他想让你放弃赌约，也许他这个我很想选这个，你知道吗？
Perhaps, but if that was so, surely I would have sensed his deception. How could I have been so blind for so long?
不拼搏哦，这个绝对不能选吧？也许当你变成人类的形态之后，你也获得了人类弱点。
Your words sting me.
哦，吓死我了！
Perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot deny it any longer. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned, it wore away my hope of being with her again. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice. Quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, which you celebrate so much, could have such a dark underside? This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form of all of you. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Because doing so would violate the rules of my sacred agreement with Jupiter, and you would receive a hostile reception. The best I can do is return you to the land of the living. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. As for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest. Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready? Farewell, mortal.
哦，我成功了吗？又是阿尔。
Oh. Hi there. Gave me a bit of a fright. Thought I was in here alone. I'm Al.
哇，原来前面遗忘之城这么容易恼怒，是为了这个后面这边来做训练吗？
Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time, learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly certain you and I are the first people to set foot in this city for about 2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and told him how to solve the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, preventing the suicide of a man in debt bondage, freeing a falsely accused prisoner, foiling an assassination attempt, and so on. Meanwhile, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook, and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him, and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years? What? Oh, I see. For a moment there I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me. I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple. You go on ahead.
终于出来了，真的。
You're back, but you're alone.
所以这个卡戎并不是那个摆渡者吗？因为他说他没有摆渡过我啊。
Oh, what a relief! Thank you so much. I was beginning to think you
他
both
只是在
became
骗人。
trapped in there. Why don't you tell me what you discovered while we wait?
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well,
哦，是吗
now you
所以刚刚
know.
他在装傻吗
I suppose
不然他刚
you
刚
have
怎么说
questions.
他不记得？
You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am
可是我
sorry
刚
I
刚
was
看
not
错。
completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years of experience, that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time. That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought you here. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of the dead. Most souls ask yourself, As you were exploring an old tomb. Unfortunately, as a nearby hiker saw this, you both fought bravely, but your assailants were armed, and you were not. There was nothing you or your ally could have done. He died instantly at the scene, and you followed a few hours later. That man's name was Al Worth. You were each in possession of a sacred coin, called Charon's Opal by some. And so it was my duty to bring you here. It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here. Nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course. Perhaps you have heard the tales of the Greeks and Romans bearing. Well, my orders were simple. It means I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we've... And there was a tablet describing an orb.
Sounds like quite a story. You two look exhausted.
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go?
回家喽！1年后。嗯。
Hey, you made it. It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, so after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to... Why don't you head on down there?
You're finally here. Remember me?
ED.
It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over. Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't even sure if you'd remember me, but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and giving us a second chance.
他的名字太长了，ED 比较好记。
Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every
对啊，
night.
他们也是被送过来
I'm
的。
finally my own man, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I know. I can't believe my luck either. But we're
他跟那个女
engaged
祭司
and
结
living
婚
together.
了。
We're planning to get married next spring. If you're going to be around, we'd love to see you there. Of course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you, so you'd better keep moving. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
可是依照合理性来讲，他们被穿越到这里，他们应该有点难适应吧？
Oh, hello.
You're here.
Wow.
It's lovely to finally meet you. Galerius told me all about you.
对呀。
So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the Roman gods. As I'm a priestess,
他直接跟上现代的妆容
out
耶
of。work. I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little sacrilegious to say this, I'm finding life after religion quite enjoyable. Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room
诶，
for a
你们有没有
large
缺人？
family.
我也可以住进去吗
And Dooley too, of course. It feels like the world has just opened up for us. There's so much to learn, and so many more possibilities for our children than we ever imagined. We're just so thankful for what you did for us, for all of us. Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. In fact, she's here somewhere, if you'd like to ask her yourself. See you at the wedding, I hope.
她穿得很漂亮呢，很前卫耶。女祭司穿得很前卫耶。
There he is.
哦，他的下场相当凄凉，据说他被捕的。哦，这个就是那个冥神的老婆嘛。
Hello, I'm Dooley. Galerius said you're very nice.
杜丽真的很好笑。
Thank you for getting us out of... I live at Galerius and Equitia's house. They look after me now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's you.
Julia.
You're the Oracle, right? Oh, of course, sorry. And I never got a chance to thank you for telling Galerius how to save my life. And of course, getting me and all of us out of a terrible situation. Oh, I barely recognize myself. I'm living in a house share in London with my wonderful girlfriend. And I'm studying English at university. Eventually, I want to travel the world and write about it. Turns out, it's about 30 times bigger than the Roman Empire ever was. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never knew existed? And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which is rather like flying on a Pegasus, but much more comfortable. Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I'm just so excited. There's so much to see and learn and write about. I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. I hope to change that one day. Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler of the Roman Empire and wound up being committed to a psychiatric hospital. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy. Someone said she'd blown all her money on wine, trying to drink herself back to the underworld. After the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me, I can't help feeling a sense of... what's that German word? Schadenfreude? I couldn't agree more. Ugh, someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince, and how she was going to be living the high life from now on. Even in your time, life still isn't fair. Apparently, he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class one-way ticket to join him in some exotic place called... what was it? Nigeria? Some people have all the luck. Well, you are the Oracle. Huh.
Hmm? 奥雷，这个是谁呀？奥雷利亚是谁啊 ？Olivia， 克劳迪亚是那个酒吧的老管吗？老管吗？酒吧的老板，酒吧的老管。奥雷利亚又是谁？对啊。
You too. If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and listen to the stories of the 9 million people who live there. I hope so.
你看一下，奥利。酒吧的老管。 你之后再看这是谁好了。
Hello.
You are here. It's nice to finally meet you. Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend in, as you can see. We're all trying to keep a low profile. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and was... Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank... I'm studying to get into medical school. As much as I resented the... When it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll just keep saving the world. You too.
Hello again.
奥雷利亚。
You too.
叫奥雷利亚。
You're welcome.
Hey. Hi there, I'm Horatius. I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance. I'm living up north and studying in the military academy. Still, I have to keep the ones who pioneered our paths. Ah, you remembered that. Thank you. I grieved for a time, but that's done. In the words of Epictetus, as those who rode behind triumphant generals remind them they are mortal, remind yourself your precious one isn't one of your possessions, but something given for now, not for... Thanks. He's not my... Oh, I see what you did there. Good one. He had more trouble adapting. He got himself disqualified from the UFC. So he started some kind of underground blood sport tournament. Suppose it appealed to people's baser instincts. And they say he made some good coin, killing a bunch of men like that. But his luck finally ran out. And his life along with it. You know what they say. Live by the sword. And...
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for coming. Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be a... I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, she knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just... He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Eternal torment. Just... You too.
Greetings.
Oh, 是他。
And
一下后面那个是怎样啦？
It's wonderful to see you
后面那个商人是怎样啦？
Oh, and by the way, I go by Philip now. A fine Greek name. And it seems I have your... I'm working as a consultant to the Faculty of Classics at Cambridge University. Not that I need the money, but I do... Aha! You remember that? I have to admit, I've been profoundly the sum total of human knowledge available at our fingertips, miraculous modern medicines, and a series of prosperous democracies. Your contemporaries have come further to... My sincere...
Greetings. You must be the legendary Oracle. It is a sincere privilege to finally make your acquaintance. I am Georgius. I am told... I am reacquainting myself with Greece. It has changed so much over the last 2,000 years. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and sampled her delights, I will settle down in Santorini in a villa overlooking the Azure Aegean Sea. I hope you will join me there and regale me with the story of how you faced
回来了吗？
You too, my friend.
有一些没看过的，应该是变成金像的。没有啊，这里都是看过的啊。
You're the one we've been waiting for. I wanted to say thanks for sending Galerius to save my life. I don't know how you knew, but I would have been crushed by that shrine for sure. I'm just so happy to be here with you and everyone together again, even if it's just for one more night. Well, it's not like I have to work with all the silver Charon gave me, so I just do what makes me happy. Mostly that means baking for my friends and looking at memes while binging TV shows in yoga pants.
Okay, okay.
What a time to be alive. Thank you. I really am. You too.
Some soiree, innit? Ah, hello at last. You must be the Oracle I've heard. Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for what you did. If it wasn't for you, I'd never been able to sell all those useless old relics I accumulated. Whatever you did in that temple made me a very wealthy man. Thank you. Most gracious of you. I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in the stock market. That's where the real money is now. In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice, you being the Oracle and Future Seer and all that, on which stocks I should invest in next. I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco, gambling and arms. What would you recommend? Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal Dacius. I won't take no for an answer.
他怎么还有？我要说这个。
Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can tonight. I'm gonna make a bloody fortune. Of course, don't let me keep you.
DPD 赚呐。这个网络到底怎么了？
Good evening.
Oh, hello. It's lovely to meet you. I've heard so much about you. I'm thankful that you're here. But thank you for coming and for saving our lives. What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it. I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. Oh, and I'm training to be a crisis counselor. After you sent Galerius to persuade Ulpius not to take his own life, I was inspired. I just want to spend the rest of my life helping people, like you helped him. Thank you. That means a lot.
Hey?
And you. Oh, and I hope this isn't too... Wonderful.
Hello.
Hello again. You too. I hope so.
Hello.
Good evening.
我是错过了。
Greetings. Thank you for your kind words and for liberating us all. In all the time I was in the underworld, I never once imagined that I might end up in a place so much like Elysium.
Oh, okay.
Hello there.
I'm recovering. Octavia was kind enough to let me stay with her for... Ah, you remember that. I'm a little tired of Ovid, but I'm already up to the 19th century, and am quite enjoying the work of a fellow named Poe. I think I may have found a kindred spirit. Men have called me mad, but the question is not yet settled whether madness is or is not the loftiest intelligence. And you?
Plunder any. I must say, if I had known you would go on to confront and triumph over the tyrant masquerading as the Lord of... I too would like to offer my thanks for releasing us from that place and for your role in bringing us here. This world is truly wondrous. For a time, I returned to Alexandria, but instead, I have decided to follow the custom of your youths and backpack the world. It is a great adventure, and I have met many people from many cultures. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would deny me access to the afterlife. Now, I think it is time I had some fun. Thank you. Thank you. What is up?
Hello there. Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name.
因为在这个世界线我们没有找到他。
You didn't hear? My adoptive father
所以他是陌生人。
locked me up in the upper cistern to stop me from escaping. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming. Don't worry. I'm living with Ulpius on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's even more wonderful than I dreamed. I'm so grateful to you. You can try some of... Thanks.
Hi. It's nice to finally put a face to the name. I understand I have you to thank. The way you just showed up out of the blue. I'm living with Gabriella in Umbria. We finally bought the little vineyard we always dreamed of. It'll be a little while, but every day I look at her and this extraordinary new world with all its beauty, and I think, what if I'd given up hope and missed out on all of this? So we're living each day to the fullest. And we end them all the same way. Sitting together on our terrace with a glass of our wine, which the locals say is almost drinkable now, and watching the sunset over the rolling hillside. And I... Thank you. You too.
Nice to meet you.
风师哥
Go by Rufus now. New start for what you did. Sorry, I live with Virgil in Rotterdam, not far from where he grew up. It's very modern. Destroyed in the war, and it haven't. Huh. Good to know. Anyway, it was good practice for the new world. Security cameras and smartphones everywhere. Got to stay vigilant. You too.
It's so nice to finally meet. I wanted to thank you first, and for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. He may come off a little gruff, but once you get past that, he's a lovely fellow. I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with Rufus
太神奇了吧，这个展开。
Just down the river from Nijmegen, where I grew up. Of course, it's improved immensely since I was there last. Gleaming futuristic buildings and clean streets full of educated, accepting people. You natives of the 21st century have no idea how fortunate you are. You too, as Rufus said in his own laconic way, if you're ever in the Netherlands, we'd...
对呀，他跟当时霸凌他说他是同性恋的人在一起了。所以他们不对啊，因为我刚才在想，如果他是那个奴隶的男生的话，那他不是会喜欢我们救的那个女生吗
？Hello. It's you.
Oh, hello.
但是就是
Hey.
哦，因为我们救的是他，然后他喜欢的是女生，是这个意思吗？还是没有
Hello. Good evening.
还是就是那个段故事就是他们那个相爱。
Hi.
我敢奈。然后刚刚说的那个奥雷维亚才是酒吧的老板，然后上面那个女生是那个当时在2楼哭的那个小脾气，你们记得吧？为了他，我们独挡无数次的那个女生。对对对，总之就是这两个人，这两个女生过得不好这样子。然后还有那个执政官。
There you are. I hope you enjoy. Now, there's one more person I want to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long, long time. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I wanted to meet you in person.
Oh.
And thank you for freeing all these people. And me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention. Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each golden statue, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without being detected. I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still retain my gifts as the goddess of the cycle of life and renewal. After witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this generation, the final wave, would not survive. So I tried to give them a way to buy more time. A second chance. Rather, as many second chances as they needed to avoid his wrath. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way. Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day. And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city? Good. Because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
Oh. 结束了，4种结局都看完了，拍手。各式各样的拍手，主店。 开发者留言，我们希望你能够喜欢《遗忘之城》。